Coming up in tonight's bulletin, Prime Minister Jeremiah Manele calls for urgent global action on the issue of climate change. The Pacific Island Forum voiced concerns on the growing health crisis caused by non-communicable diseases, NCDs, and mental health challenges. And the Chinese embassy in Honiara with stakeholders marked the 76th anniversary of the founding of China. Hello, you're watching SIBC's TV News Bulletin. I'm Sharon Nanao. Prime Minister Jeremiah Manele called for urgent global action on climate change, warning global leaders at the United Nations General Assembly that the planet is moving away from the 1.5 degrees target set under the Paris Agreement. Alex Dedamu reports.
Prime Minister Jeremiah Manele calls for urgent global action on the issue of climate change when delivering his statement at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York yesterday. Prime Minister Manele highlighted the escalating impacts of climate change and the recent landmark advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice, ICJ. He said the World Meteorological Organization's declaration that 2024 was the hottest year on record shows the world is moving off course from the 1.5 degrees Celsius target set under the Paris Agreement.
Climate change is a crisis multiplier that is defining our future. The World Meteorological Organization declared 2024 was the warmest year on record. This pushes us further off track from the 1.5 degrees goal we agreed to in Paris. Solomon Islands, despite having a minimal carbon footprint, has submitted an ambitious net positive third national determination contribution, NDC. We can do more with international partnerships, investing in reforestation and the conservation of our forests, including renewable energy investments. We need urgent and ambitious climate action now that puts us on a 1.5 degrees pathway. Large emitters and those with historical responsibility must take the lead in drastically cutting emissions. Contrary to what we heard here a few days ago, the science on climate is clear, and my people are suffering from it.
Prime Minister Manele said despite contributing minimally to global emissions, Solomon Islands has submitted an ambitious net positive third nationally determined contribution, NDC, committing to reforestation and renewable energy. He said the Solomon Islands also welcomes the ICJ's July 2025 advisory opinion.
Solomon Islands welcome the historical advisory opinion of the ICJ and support ongoing process for a follow-up UN resolution. Madam President, the Court has made clear that states carry binding obligations to act on climate change, to prevent harm, to cooperate, and to protect the rights of both present and future generations. These duties are legal, moral, and universal, and hold states accountable to stop harmful practices, to prevent repetition, and to repair the damage caused. Madam President, Solomon Islands also raised the issue of climate displacement. Entire communities are already at risk of losing their homes and homelands. The Court has now confirmed that the principle of non-refoulement applies, which means that no state can lawfully return people to places where climate change makes survival impossible.
Solomon Islands is one of the countries experiencing firsthand the impact of climate change. Alex Dedamu for SIBC TV.
Now, the Pacific Island nations voiced concerns on the growing health crisis caused by non-communicable diseases, NCDs, and mental health challenges. calling for urgent international support and smarter investments to strengthen healthcare systems across the region. Delivering the region's statement at the UN high-level meeting on NCDs in New York, Minister of Foreign Affairs and External Trade, Honorable Peter Chanel Agovaka, said NCDs are driving up hospital admissions, putting immense pressure on already fragile health systems.
Non-communicable disease are the leading causes of death in our region, accounting for 75% of deaths. NDCs account for increase in hospital admissions in the region, placing stress on our health system. Mental health challenges are rising, especially among our youths. These are new realities our member states and people are having to deal with on a daily basis. Guided by the Pacific Non-Commutable Disease Roadmap, our state governments have implemented physical measures like taxes on sugary drinks and tobacco and alcohol. We are strengthening primary health care, train frontline workers, and integrate NCD's services region-wide. Develop regional tools to track progress and drive smarter evidence-based actions. Mr. President, while we've made progresses, critical challenges remain. Industry continues to undermine health gains through the continued promotion of products that fuel NCD crisis. The lack of sustained advocacy has led to low screening, delayed care, and access to services have left too many to suffer in silence. These are issues that demand bold and united actions.
Honorable Agovaka said, guided by the Pacific Non-Communicable Disease Roadmap, countries have introduced physical measures to combat the rise of NCDs. He said challenges still remain as harmful industries continue to undermine public health efforts, while low screening rates and unequal access to care leave many suffering in silence.
The Pacific is charting our own course by revamping the 1995 Healthy Island Vision that embeds health as a cross-cutting issue across the various thematic agenda of our 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent. Across the Blue Pacific continent, mental health is no longer hidden in silence. Access to health care, however, uneven due to the shortage of health care professionals, rising substance use, multidimensional impacts on climate change, and urban drift have amplified the crisis. To truly move forward, we must invest in care and rebuild the health systems matched with resources. While the Pacific is taking bold steps on NCDs and mental health, we welcome enduring partnership to advance smart fiscal policies, strong regulations, and country-led actions to build healthier habits from the start. We also welcome support in strengthening our frontline health workers to better respond to NCDs and mental health and substance uses.
Now, the Chinese embassy in Honiara, together with key stakeholders, commemorated the 76th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, with the Solomon Islands government extending warm congratulations to President Xi Jinping, the Chinese government and the people of China. Alex Dedamo with more on this story.
The Chinese embassy in Honiara, with relevant stakeholders, marked the 76th anniversary of the founding of China in Honiara on Friday. The Solomon Islands government extended congratulations to the People's Republic of China, expressing warm wishes to His Excellency President Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, and the people of China.
On behalf of the government and the people of Solomon Islands, I extend a heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency President Xi Jinping, the government, and the people of China on this special occasion. The founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, and was a defining moment in the modern history. Since then, China has shown remarkable progress in development, innovation, and global leadership, lifting millions out of poverty and inspiring nations like our Somalis.
Chinese ambassador to Solomon Islands, His Excellency Kai Wei-ming, expressed China's willingness to enhance the cooperation and relationship between the two countries.
China is willing to work with Solomon Islands to enhance our political mutual trust, deepen our practical cooperation, and strengthen our people-to-people exchanges, build an even closer China-Solomon Islands community with a shared future in a new era, and bringing more benefits to our two peoples. Now I would like to propose a toast. For the 76th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, for the friendship and cooperation between China and Solomon Islands, for the health and happiness of every friend here this evening. Cheers!
The occasion also marked the 6th anniversary when Solomon Islands established diplomatic relations with China in 2019. Alex Dadamu for SIBC TV.
Now, Prime Minister Honorable Jeremiah Manili has called for peace, disarmament and respect for international law at the 88th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Delivering his statement yesterday, Manili highlighted the growing global instability, rising conflict and inequality seen in countries nowadays. He said the world is overarmed and spending less on development which threatens peace and international cooperation.
8 years ago, in the aftermath of the Second World War, the world chose to build than destroy. The United Nations Charter is a covenant of hope, peace, and progress. It is based on the principle of sovereign equality, one country, one vote. The United Nations has since grown from 51 to 193 member states, becoming a force for development, human rights, and humanitarian support, giving voice to the vulnerable and inspiring global progress and prosperity. This is the proud legacy of the United Nations, a legacy that I pray must not only be cherished, but also carried forward with renewed vigor and purpose. Madam President, we meet at a moment of profound uncertainty, marked by deepening conflicts, armed aggression, widening inequalities, and the growing disregard for international law. The erosion of the United Nations Charter principles, the alarming return of unilateralism, threatens the very foundation of our multilateral system. We note the deep concern that the world is now overarmed, spending less on development, and increasingly adopted a militarized posture. We need to halt and reverse these non-peaceful trends.
He also highlighted the Pacific region's commitment to peace through the Ocean of Peace Declaration, recently adopted by the Pacific Island Forum.
My sub-region recently adopted the Ocean of Peace Declaration. It is rooted in the Pacific's collective history and culture. It is our collective vision for a resilient, peaceful, and a prosperous blue Pacific continent. We reclaim our sovereignty, support multilateralism, and a rules-based international order grounded on international law. This week, Solomon Islands signed onto the Declaration for the Protection of Humanitarian Personnel, noting that 380 humanitarian personnel paid the ultimate sacrifice last year. It is our collective responsibility to respect international humanitarian law, protect the safety of humanitarian personnel and civilians, and instill accountabilities for all in disaster and war zones.
Now, Solomon Islands is finalizing a crucial report ahead of its upcoming Universal Periodic Review, UPR, aimed at urging the government to strengthen legislation protecting the rights of persons with disabilities. Andrea Mahanwa with more.
The National Disability Forum of Solomon Islands is now finalizing a key report for the country's upcoming Universal Periodic Review. Speaking to SIBC TV, Casper Fasala emphasized the significance of the submission. He explained the report will call for government to take decisive steps to enact legislation to protect and promote the rights of persons with disabilities in the country.
There was a good attempt, I think, way back in 2008. The government has, especially the Attorney General's chamber at the time, has taken the liberty, and late John Ho was doing a great job in picking up the task in making an act. But then they lost momentum on that. And now what we are urging the government now through a submission on the UPR is to again resubmit to UPR in our report that we are now preparing to be submitted next month on the 10th of October to UN, to urge the government in order to consider starting up a consultation on the Act and making that bill possible for us to work together with the government in order to protect, but also to promote worker whereby supporting our disabilities local employee with less discriminations.
Efforts to support people with disabilities in living normal lives with equal access to services and opportunities are currently guided by the National Disability Inclusive Development Policy 2023 to 2031. However, Fasala says authorities are not doing enough to carry out the policy.
In terms of policy, yes, it's a reality, but at the country level, it could be a joke and a slap on the face of disabilities. And so it's something that the government needs to commit themselves, especially the Prime Minister's sector in the social sector. Social sector, to my understanding, is so weak in the Prime Minister's office. They need to come out clear. They need to have these reviews, research, policies to be done. And so there's a lot of work that we need to be consulted on, and aligning this. This is government responsibility, which we are pushing for. We've been sitting in many consultations, but I think the government need to commit themselves and set their target and priorities right, and to address real issues that disabilities are facing.
Andrea Mahanwa for SIBC TV.
Now, the London Honiara Fashion Week 2025 has wrapped up on a high note, following a showcase of creativity and innovative designs. Andrea Mahanwa with the details.
The London Honiara Fashion Week 2025 has wrapped up on a high note following a showcase of creativity and innovative designs. Throughout the week, the National Art Gallery hosted an exhibition that drew in students and members of the public to view the works of local talents. But the standout event of the week was the fashion show held at the British High Commission residence, which displayed the talented works of participating designers.
Oh gosh, this London Honiara Fashion Week 2025. I mean, it's been amazing. This week, we've actually made it a week. Last year was only the one night fashion show. This year, 2025, we've joined up with the Ministry of Tourism, with the National Art Gallery. If you go down to the National Art Gallery this week, you'll see some amazing designs and designers, and you can talk to them. We also have workshops for the designers. That's Thursday and Friday. That includes BBC Media Action. It includes ANZ Bank Finance workshop, and some reflections on, how the week has gone as we look to next year. So we've finished tonight with the fashion show. Oh gosh, it's an amazing evening. we've had a great audience, and the designers are showing like so much more creativity this year, really putting a lot of effort into their designs. It's actually amazing and inspiring. We've actually had students this year join us from King George VI and also from Sinu. We've got some great prizes, and we've had some great sponsors as well. So it's been an amazing week.
Andrea Mahanwa for SIBC TV.
And that's news. Follow us on sibconline.com.sb and our SIBC News Facebook page for more of our latest stories. Thanks for watching.